And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, the pre-garbage day edition on a Tuesday for you. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing from the CZ studios today, brother?
Not too bad. It's a garbage day in my neighborhood.
Yeah, we're fixing to find out how well these liquid death energy water drinks do today. You know, I'm not going to tell you why. I'm just going to tell you we're fit and find out if they work today.
All right.
It's just water. I'm not the name. I don't like the name. But, you know, have you ever had it?
It's definitely an odd name.
It is. I think it's an odd marketing thing. But you know what? I bought it. I bought it because I was scared of it when I saw it. I was scared. I said, I got to try that. Living on the edge. Liquid death water. Let's see what this stuff's all about. Anyway, as we say down south, ladies and gentlemen, south of that Mason-Dixon line, we'll fit and find out if it works. Oh, boy. Patriot Mobile microphone lit up for you in the Patriot Mobile Studios, CZ Studios, I should say. And it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association, ladies and gentlemen. Greg in Dallas, Texas, we're on all of our platforms today. Go ahead and take it away, and let's get started with Lee, the Gunwriter Williams.
Did we make it over to Rumble today?
No, we're not on Rumble today. We're on everywhere but Rumble today.
All right, places to watch the show then are going to be YouTube and Facebook. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. If you're over on X, you can find us at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com. Hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And if you'd like to join our live chats, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Woohoo! Well done, well played. And guys, tomorrow we will be off tomorrow. Greg and I will be off tomorrow.
Oh.
So I just wanted to let you know that. We'll have a guest host now. I don't know. We might have an encore running, Greg. I think we're gonna be running an encore tomorrow. Is what it is, Greg.
Okay, all right.
Tomorrow, just to let you know, we got a lot going on. So we'll run a mashup of some fun stuff for you tomorrow. Maybe we'll put 4 different show segments in, Greg. We can do that.
Oh, good time.
Okay, so we'll do some good time stuff. Anyway, let's get over to Lee, the Gunwriter Williams today. Lee, welcome in. Let's bring you up on stage here and get you on camera. There he is. There's Lee, the Gunwriter Williams. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired today. And that's I'll just go ahead and tell you. I had a guitar lesson today. I was out working this morning from 4 o'clock on and put together the CDC store. You know, CDC's got the defensive gun uses back up on their website, right? We're going to talk about that today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did a story about it.
So I'm just reminding viewers and listeners about what happened during the Biden years, that they got in bed with that Mark, what's his name, who you've spoken to over at the Gun Violence Archive a number of years ago, back in 2022. And they pulled the DGU statistics, which ranged from 60,000 to 2.5 million. And I'm going to break those numbers down for you, ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, tell you why it really matters. But I just reminded viewers on that when I put a YouTube video short out today. Guys, go check it out. It's not getting the legs that I thought it would get. Maybe because it has some explosions where there's some bad words. Maybe YouTube doesn't like that today. I don't know. But I couldn't resist because it was just me saying what I really wanted to say about it and what they think about you. And then I had a bunch of work to do throughout the day today. I had a guitar lesson today. I got back and I made the mistake of laying down on the couch for a little while. And, well, lo and behold, my daughter said, Dad, don't you have to be on the radio in 5 minutes? I said, thanks, honey. Gotta go. Liquid death. There we go. But we have lots to talk about, so I don't have to review any notes for you. What's going on with that, Lee?
Well, the CDC took this down during the Biden years, but they said there's a range, okay, of defensive gun uses from 60,000 up to 2.5 million defensive gun uses each year. They put that on their website. I think the 2.5 million might be a little low. I don't know. I know a lot of these things, guys aren't inclined to call law enforcement about. I would say the majority of defensive gun usage, when a shot is not fired, people are not inclined to call the police. Anyway, they put it on there. Yeah. And the trace one, absolutely, what's the word I can use? Nuts.
Bonkers.
Okay.
But bonkers is a fun word.
Bonkers. Jennifer Messia, who's my favorite trace reporter, wrote, the change reflects the Trump administration's staunch anti-gun advocacy, putting the president in lockstep with a gun lobby that's long promoted the idea that a good guy with a gun is the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun. Well, I kind of agree with that. And then she does this horrible story on it. And before we get into that, I just got to remind everybody about who she's calling. She called the Gun Violence Archive Executive Director Mark Bryant. Now, you remember him.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed in 2019 there were 417 mass shootings. FBI said there were 30 because they use a realistic definition. I mean, for Mark, anytime anybody takes a gun out of a holster, it's a mass shooting. But you also have to remember about her. Now, in 2021, she put a tweet out there, angry about the fact that people are confusing the Trace with Everytown. And she said they're completely different in this tweet. So, the Trace is not a gun control organization. We don't lobby. We don't tell readers to support laws. We don't publish our opinions. All these are lies. We are all journalists. None of us have ever worked in advocacy, which is exactly what they do. I just want you to know who this author is. Our backgrounds are not easily searchable. Why do you persist with this myth? She wrote. Follow the bios. We all went to journalism school. The facts don't support your claims. Enter Rob Romano. He's working for Firearms Policy Coalition. He did a little checking and found that the IRS Form 990s for the Trace in Everytown both have the same president, John Feinblatt, who's an EVP at Bloomberg, big organization, Everytown. He also found that the 990s show that they use the same phone number. They're both incorporated in Delaware, and he tweeted back to her, the president of your organization is literally the president of Everytown. Okay, everybody knows about Bryant and his gun violence archive and how crazy they are, but they cited another source in here. And this guy, people might not know, Hughes, and he is, how did she describe him? Oh, she said they basically are a nonprofit gun violence research outfit, and he runs GVpedia, who described themselves as something else. As it currently stands, they wrote, the project focuses significantly on the work and actions of one individual, John R. Lott Jr. Okay. So it's an anti-John R. Lott Jr. website. These are the two sources she went to, bro.
Yeah, let's start with this. First of all, Jennifer Massey. You respect Jennifer Massey. I don't think you were being facetious there, right?
I think she did some good work when she was with the New York Times, and I don't agree with her findings. I think she's always been a little more. She likes to put her opinion in too many stories.
Okay, well, I've had past conversations with. It's been quite some time. I want to be transparent here. I spoke to her. It was a long time ago about some issues. We had gone back and forth. She was very respectful to me. I will tell her that. I'll tell you that. And I was very respectful to her as well. Of course, we disagree on some things, but she tried to lay that whole journalist middle of the road type thing down with me. That was a long time. Yeah. It was years. She might not even remember talking to me for all I know. She's got quite the storied history, her personal story. Her father was a mob hitman. If you recall, she wrote a book about it. Something along those lines. Okay. She's got quite the story in her background. She really, truly does. Maybe that's why she's anti-gun. I don't know. She claims she's not anti-gun. I don't know. Here, I'm trying to be fair.
She's anti-gun as hell, but
yeah, okay. Maybe there's personal history there, something like that. I don't know. But again, I respect that she's out. I respect her. She's not like a lot of these other reporters, Lee, that are just so blatant in your face. Now that could make her even more dangerous because if she feels that way, maybe that's, why she writes a little trickier, things like that. She's a talented writer. I'll give her that. You're right. She was with the Times. So I have respect for her. I'll just leave it at that. But here's the deal. They're up in arms, pun intended, about the CDC putting these numbers back on the website, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's the focus of her entire story.
All right. Now, let's be fair. I did this on 97.1 FM this morning on the Mark Cox in the Morning Show. Greg, how much time do I have before I get into this? Let me ask Greg, how much time do I have, Greg?
20 to music.
20 to music. So I'm just set it up with this, Lee, when we come back. That's why I wanted to ask. I don't want to get too far into it. When we come back, I want to break the numbers down, guys. Remember, 60,000 to 2.5 million. 60,000 to 2.5 million. Anywhere in there. All right. When we come back, I want to get into that because the
30.
Bureau of Justice Statistics under Obama tried desperately to destroy that Gary Kleck survey or study back from the 1990s that nobody's been able to do. They like to say so, but nobody's been able to do it, and said 180,000. So we're going to run some numbers when we come back. Let's expose them. We'll be right back. Let's run some numbers here. You want to run some numbers for fun?
Absolutely.
All right. So the CDC puts up on the website 60,000 to 2.5 million. That's a big spread. There's a lot going on.
Huge.
Think of it in terms of dollars. Big difference between 60 grand and $2.5 million. Big spread. All right. Now, 60,000, let's just give it the low number. Let's give it the low number and say, okay, 60,000 defensive gun uses in America per year. How many days are there in a year, Lee?
365.
That's 164.3 defensive gun uses per day in America, a country of 330 plus million people per day. That number seems very low to me.
Seems like there'd be that number in Baltimore. I'm talking the 50, 60,000 per day.
We could probably make that argument. When you consider that most of them go unreported, that's what happened to me. Mine went unreported.
Exactly.
Now, I've had just 2 months ago, I can call it a defensive gun use, even though I didn't unholster my gun. My visible gun stopped a road raging maniac who pulled up behind my vehicle at a liquor store. And he had hassled me in the parking lot and going in. And there he was on the way out. I was smart enough to know there were cameras everywhere. I didn't have to draw the gun. I just shifted my hand that in my right hand where I had a couple bags, and I moved it to my left hand, making my gun visible. He left. Vroom, vroom, vroom on the motorcycle. That is a defensive gun use as far as I'm concerned.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
No cops called, no nothing. Gun did its job 2 times in my life. 2 times in my life. I'm one person. There's 100+ million American gun owners in this country.
Yeah.
100 million plus. So let's give the 60,000. Let's just say that. Okay, that's 165 per day. The department, the Bureau of Justice Statistics during Obama years, we talked about this on this program during the Obama years, Lee. I find this fascinating conversation. They couldn't get lower than 180,000. Their low number was 180,000. 180,000 is 493 defensive gun uses per day in America, divided by 365 days. Seems a little.
We're getting closer.
We're getting closer. Gary Kleck's study found up to 2.5 million defensive gun uses.
Remember that?
That's 6,850 per day in America. Now, the number likely falls, let's be fair and honest, somewhere in the middle in there, okay? We will never, ever really know the true number ever because, well, look what just happened to me. Multiply that by how many people me is that it's happened to. Will we ever know that number? We're never going to be able to talk to unless every single person who has a gun answered a survey and did it honestly, which will never happen.
Yeah.
All right. Now, question for you as a reporter. Having set that up, why hasn't the Trace or Giffords or Everytown or just pick one? It doesn't matter who it is, Brady's. Why haven't they commissioned their own Gary Kleck survey since the 90s to debunk and refute that instead of simply just attacking John Lott and Gary Kleck's survey and getting out in public media and saying, oh, those numbers have been debunked, providing zero proof of their own? Why?
Well, because that would take some initiative on their part, and I think the answer would scare the absolute hell out of them.
There you go.
They would find there are much, much more, and it's not politically. All of their crap is based on anti-gun politics, and this would not support them in any way, shape, or form. I mean, look at these guys who they got to quote in the story. You got Bryant from the Gun Violence Archive saying nothing more than gross estimates based on limited surveys. You got Hughes from the anti-John Lott group saying politically motivated laundering of disinformation that has become a hallmark of the Trump administration, blah, blah, blah. I mean, as soon as she allowed those two guys to spout their nonsense, she admitted in her story that defensive gun uses are hard to track, and they're not counted by local cops or even the FBI. So her story fizzles and died.
So why write it?
Exactly, because you can get those quotes out there. That's what they want. They want people to say bad stuff about guns and bad stuff about people who put the numbers on there. And I got to tell you, for the Trump administration, that was brilliant. 60,000 to 2.5 million. Hey, it's in there somewhere. We don't know. We admit it. Nobody's checking and collecting this data. It's impossible to collect.
Facts are stubborn things, ladies and gentlemen. Facts are stubborn things. Facts don't suffer fools. Okay? There's a reason they haven't done that. Now, let me say this. Maybe they have and haven't reported what they found. All right? That's probably a very strong possibility. But what they would find is lots of people in between that 60,000, let's just use that number, in between that 60,000 to 2.5 million, what they would find is lots of those people are also Democrats who own guns. They do not want to report that information because what does that do? That absolutely 100,000 gobzillion percent, as I like to say here on the show, completely changes the narrative instantly if they write it. Their narrative is, the whole DGU situation is completely changed if they write it. That narrative flips. Now, what's their option? Zip.
They can't write about it. I mean, they call themselves journalists, bro, and they're as far from being a true journalist as you can possibly be. They're paid anti-gun activists, and that's above their journalistic desires. They're not going to put something out there that could be used by pro-gun activists like you and I. They want everything to be anti-gun. That's why you get these lame sons of guns. I got to watch my language, to comment on this story because it's all about nothing.
It is. It's a big fat nothing burger. When we come back, I want to talk about the facts because, as I said, facts are stubborn things. Facts don't suffer fools. When we come back, we're going to go there with Lee the Gun Writer Williams. You're probably looking at the whole hour on this one, folks. We'll be right back. Let's go back to Lee the Gun Writer Williams. Hey, Lee, the liquid death is working. I'm waking up, so that's a good thing. Okay. Sounds kind of like a paradox, but anyway, it does.
I've seen it. I have not tried it yet.
Yeah, it's not that good. But when I saw 47 or 48 bucks at Costco for sugar-free Red Bulls, forget that. I'm not paying that. It's not happening. Anyway, got to get off that stuff anyway. So back to these numbers. I said facts are stubborn things. Facts don't suffer fools. That's true. Now, we know why they do it. But I'm gonna dig a little deeper why they don't report those numbers, because the facts don't align with their positions. Here's my question. So what? They can, if they're honest, why not have, look, I'll sit and tell you right here on the program, the number between 60,000 and 2.5 million is in fact debatable, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So come to the table. Why not have that discussion? It would require you first admit that there are defensive gun uses. Look, anti-gunners, I know you listen to this program, okay? Wake up. You look like fools here by simply not even acknowledging the fact that it's all over television. Look, we just saw what happened in Idaho. How many times have we seen this? The quieter you are, the stupider you look. It destroys all of your credibility. We all know it happens. Admit it happens, and then have the conversation from there. Why won't they do that, Lee?
They're not fair. They're not journalists. A journalist would have that conversation. I've had that in stories in newspapers. Here's a horrible situation. It could have got a lot worse. It didn't because somebody had a firearm. They ended it. Bad guys gone. Good guys are all living. They'll never do that because they are not journalists, man. I don't care what Jennifer Massiat wants to say about about herself or about how good these people are at the Trace or how they're all journalists or they're not affiliated with Everytown. They're not journalists. They're anti-gun crusaders. That's the only term I can come up with. That's it. I mean, can you imagine making your living being anti-anything? What are you going to be? Well, be anti-car or anti-beef jerky or anti-dog. I mean, it's just got to mess with your head, man.
It does. It has to. It has to.
She's been there too long.
I don't know.
Calling up these two guys, these two who have nothing to do with this conversation, quite frankly. They would be the last people I would put in this story. You know who I would have put in this story? Alan Gottlieb. Guys like that. Okay, let's see what Mr. Gottlieb has to say. Maybe he has some ideas. No, they're not ever going to do that. They're only going to go to their warped. You can't even really call them sources because they're not a professional source. They don't know what's going on, but they know what they're going to say. She knew what they're going to say. They're going to have bad words to say about President Trump and his CDC.
Yeah, well, yeah, I like the way you frame that. Would you want to go through your life anti-anything? I haven't. That's a profound question. I haven't thought about it in those terms, but those are miserable people. That for the most part, they're miserable to a degree that they don't care if they look stupid. They don't care if they look like hypocrites. When you're anti-gun and you're surrounded by armed security, you don't think people notice that? They do notice that. Yeah. And then when they do get called out on it, Shannon Watts used to say, if I remember this correctly, I'm paraphrasing what she said. Well, I have to have armed security because all the pro-gun people threaten my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I never could agree with her on that. If they want to be anti-gun, fine, be anti-gun. I could really care. But then live the lifestyle. Don't have any guns near you. Oh, you can't do that? Why is that? Oh, you're worried about street crime. Well, isn't that a reason to carry a gun or to have armed people around you? I mean, they're all such hypocrites, man. That's the thing that bugs me the most about them. And having written stories and having edited stories, if this would have come into my office and I was the editor, I might have agreed with her premise for the story, but then she brings these two guys in as her experts. It's hilarious.
Well, they don't do themselves any favors, that's for sure. So, hey guys, we're giving you an opportunity to at least try to be fair. Don't just diss it. Don't act as if it doesn't exist. It does exist. We know you don't like that, but that just shows your dishonesty. It's why we talk about you the way we talk about you. If you want to debate the 60 to 2.5 million, have at it. We can have that conversation. I don't mind having that conversation. But the basic underlying premise is, defensive gun use has happened in America. Did you not see it the other day? How ABC covered it, did a really good job. So did the New York Times cover it and actually did a real good job. It's possible, anti-gun journalists, that the script is flipping around you and you might just have to start dealing with that and approach it that way. You know, I go back to the old Piers Morgan days when he was jumping all over all of our friends on television and harping on everybody and gun uses and all that crap. I would have loved to have gone on the air with Piers Morgan. I would have loved to have. And here's why. Because it wouldn't have been hard to have a conversation with him. Here's why. You've got to be honest first. The conversation has to start with the following comment. There are 500 million guns plus in this country. They're not going anywhere. Can we start the conversation from that point? You're not taking them. They're not going anywhere. So let's have that conversation. All right? Compare that number to crime. Now, throw all the good people out. Let's focus on that smaller number and figure out what we do about that. Because you and me and all of our neighbors and the other 100 million people out there that use guns responsibly and safely and legally and lawfully every single day are not the problem. But that requires honesty. It requires honesty.
They'll never get there. They're going to take what happens in Baltimore, since we mentioned that city earlier, and they're going to try and prescribe that onto you and onto me and onto our friends. Well, look how they act with their firearms. We can just assume that you're going to act the same way. No, we're not.
Yeah,
we're not.
We're not, but it requires honesty. It just simply does. The other side of any argument, they're not honest. And this is just proof positive of that they won't even acknowledge that this happens, even when it's in their face. They're the little kid in the cookie
Yeah.
jar who get caught with their hand. Why are you in the cookie jar? I'm not. I saw you with your hand in the cookie jar. No, you didn't. Your hand was just in the cookie jar. No, it wasn't, Mommy. Yes, it was. You have crumbs on your hands. No, I don't, Mommy. There that you remember.
I mean, and they also
go ahead.
They also treat these defensive gun uses like they're some kind of just a statistic. These are horrible events that happen to people. I mean,
they're life-changing
I think back
events.
to when I had to pull my trigger when I was a policeman in uniform, and I'm here and he's not. I mean, that is a horrible thing to have to go through. And I can't imagine
30
billion having to go through that. Somebody without the training, without the military, without law enforcement training. It's a terrible thing. And yet they treat them like, oh, well, that's just 0.1 or
20.
People are not numbers. People are not numbers.
Exactly. Lee, when we come back, wrap this up. And then I want to talk about El Sayed and Jesse Waters, by the way, last night. His exchange about guns and Second Amendment was interesting. We'll be back with Lee to wrap up the day. Radio.com. Lee the Gunwriter Williams, welcome back in. So El Sayed, the commie.
Yeah.
This is a scary.
Without a doubt.
This is scary stuff. This guy was on Jesse Waters last night, and I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of this, but I followed Todd Pyro from Fox and Friends this morning on 97.1 FM, Mark Cox in the Morning Show. So I always listen to Todd. He and I have had some exchanges. I've invited him on the program, by the way, so stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see if he can do that. Sometimes it's contractual issues with the networks, but nonetheless, they were, he had this crazy whacked out interview with Sayed. Left has lost their minds to the point this guy was literally comparing castration to circumcision on Jesse Waters last night. They have literally lost their marbles. He actually made that comparison, and some of the responses to that interview were hilarious, but they also went to the Second Amendment. I got to hand it to Jesse on this one. Wanted to know if he wanted to abolish the Second Amendment. And Greg and I were looking for the clip. We don't have it. I do apologize. That's my fault. Can't hold Greg responsible for that one. I should have sent it to him. Did you find it, Greg?
I think so. Give me 5 seconds.
Okay. He's going to let me know, and he'll interrupt me, and we'll just keep talking until he comes back with that. But he was asked about whether or not he wants to abolish it. He made this absurd comparison about, well, I think people want to be able to go to the doctor more than they want to have a gun. Which now, this is what I asked this morning on 97.1 FM. What's the correlation there? How many people do you know that went, I can't afford to go to the doctor. I sure do want a gun. When does that come up in the same sentence or even the same thought, Lee? Help me with this, would you please?
Yeah, the guy's clearly a nut. First of all, how would
I think I got it.
Congressman, or I'm sorry, he's running for senator, right? How would he whack any of the amendments? Tell me that. Answer me that. I'm not that familiar with federal government. Tell me how a senator whacks a constitutional amendment.
He doesn't. What he wants to do is the danger. Right. It's the push. It's trying to convince people. If he gets elected, he's going to get elected as part of his platform. Greg's got it queued up. Let's play it.
Also said this: you want to replace the right to bear arms with the right to health care. You don't want to replace the Second Amendment, do you?
Well, look, man, I think more people are more worried about whether or not they can see a doctor than whether or not they can have a gun. I'm just going to put that out there.
I mean, you're dodging the question. Do you want to replace the Second Amendment?
I'm just saying that more people are more concerned about seeing a doctor. If we had a right to health care in this country, they probably wouldn't. And I think that'd be a pretty good thing, don't you?
I think you dodged the question. And that's a pretty big one in Michigan. But I'll take it as what you said. You said Colin Kaepernick.
I'm perfectly fine with people.
All right. So there you go. The guys there, he can't answer the question, so he has to try to deflect to healthcare and make a comparison that is completely mutually exclusive of each other. They have nothing to do with one another whatsoever.
None. Nothing. The guy's a nut. He's clearly a nut, and he's DSA bigger than hell, even though he says he's not, and there's space between. He is an American communist running for office.
Yeah.
Along with a bunch of other ones.
He could very well have easily said, no, I don't want to do that. But he didn't. And there's your answer right there, ladies and gentlemen. And you're smart enough to know that. The problem is he thinks you're stupid.
Yeah.
And that his deflection is going to work. Now, here's what we have. So I'm just going to come out and say this because I don't care. Particularly, the older I get, the bigger the blank you get off my lawn sign becomes. I'm not going to hold anything back. This is Western civilization. We are not going to operate under Sharia law. Your civilization and your culture is not compatible with ours. End of discussion. Figure it out. The danger here is the left is getting run roughshod over by these people because they're afraid to say what I just said, and they're afraid to stand up for America in the face of what's happening in American cities like Dearborn and Minneapolis and many others around the country. These people want you living under Sharia law. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? That means you will be disarmed and you will submit or die. That's a fact. It is not compatible. We will not give up our culture to you. End of discussion. Not without a fight. And I can promise you right now who's going to pull that one out, and it ain't going to be you. Oh, man. You know, we are in a crazy place in this country, Lee. Who would have ever thunk it, right?
Yeah, I don't think these communists are going to do very well at all, hopefully, once the actual election comes around. And I guarantee you this guy will not. He's crazy. You would have to be crazy as a Michigander to vote for a man this nuts.
There's enough of them there.
Give me one country where communism has worked. Let's see. Nowhere.
Yeah. And, well, the problem is they package themselves slickly. This guy can speak. Okay.
He speaks quickly.
Yeah. Well, all you got to do is look what happened in New York City. We're getting ready to, we're looking at now 25 years since 9/11, 25 years since 9/11 coming up in just a matter of days. And you would think that New York City just forgot about it. It's like it never existed. Look at what they've done to their own culture in Great Britain. That's what they want for you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they want for you. We talked about this with Andy Hoosier yesterday. We went through some of these numbers, and it's really scary to see how many of them there are at the state level. Is it growing? I don't know. We're going to see what happens in November. Then you're going to get a better picture as to whether it's growing, if some of these clowns or more of these clowns get elected. But, Lee, the fear is if he's got the nomination and he's got a D next to his name, Democrats are going to vote for him because he's got a D and it's not an R. All you've got to do is look at what's happened to their own cities and their own state. It's terrible. Yeah. It's terrible.
And shame on the Democrats for accepting these DSA guys into their ranks. They should all be kicked out.
Yeah. Lee, unfortunately, we got to run. You can catch him, Lee the Gunwriter Williams, at Armed American News, and you can catch him over at armedamericannews.com. You can also read him at saf.org, saf.org. Lee, thanks for everything that you do. Okay. Guys, Greg and I will be off tomorrow. We'll be back live for you Thursday. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio. Thanks for cutting that because